so sick that they think that there'll be an immunity here now to all diseases very shortly. So that's the
Okay. Well,
yeah. Anyway, okay. Now you get an idea of what my warped sense of humor is here, Todd. Anyway, let's see here. Let's talk about this basketball game. I'm going to come on the air here just right now. So you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do this bad boy. Spartanburg Herald Jr. covers the Wofford Terriers, and the writer that covers them is Todd Shanesy. And he joins me here. We're very happy to have you on Tri-City Sports Now with me, Marky Bilson. And it's got to be the biggest game in mid-major basketball, I would imagine. I haven't checked down all 351 teams' matchups this week, but it's a battle for first place between ETSU, which has won 11 in a row, against Wofford, which has won 7 in a row. Now, in the Tri-Cities, ETSU is now drawing, it's that time of year where they're starting to draw 5,000 a game. Fans are kind of excited about the chances of ETSU going back to the NCAA tournament. What can you tell me about the scene in Spartanburg? What is the feeling like with the Terriers, especially after they defeated North Carolina earlier this year?
Yeah, it's been pretty exciting. Of course, they lost the game after North Carolina. They lost at UNCG, so that was kind of a letdown for everybody. But UNCG is a good team too, and it's pretty exciting. I mean, I think the North Carolina game really lifted everybody up and gave them a lot of hope for what could happen in the conference. There's been a couple sellouts. The new arena is amazing. There's been a couple sellouts. The South Carolina game for their season opener. And then the Furman game recently, they also played and beat Georgia Tech at home, which was pretty cool. That was not a sellout, believe it or not. But that was a church night. That was a Wednesday night. So,
oh, I see. So, yes, that's I guess South Carolina, the upstate where you are, that's where do you go to church? The Midlands is where do you drink, where do you work? And the Low Country is what do you have to drink, right? That's the way it goes in South Carolina.
Right.
Yeah, by the way, I as a little boy, I lived in South Carolina, so I lived in Columbia, so I'm familiar with that. In fact, I can even recall watching Wofford football games in the D2 era, way back when in the 80s on like a low-power TV station. I can recall that, and having a big mascot playing with a terrier dog on the broadcast and all this. Anyway, we're talking to Todd Shanesy, who covers the Wofford Terriers for the Spartanburg Herald Jr. And despite the victory against North Carolina and Georgia Tech, as you mentioned, and Wofford has only lost one game in conference to a strong UNCG team. They're ranked 106 in the RPI. And it seems like Wofford's been lowly ranked in the RPI all year long. ETSU, meanwhile, doesn't have the signature victories against North Carolina and Georgia Tech, but they're 66th in the RPI. Does Wofford feel like they're getting the shaft there?
Well, I haven't really talked to them about that. I don't really think they care at this point. It really doesn't matter. But I think Wofford's better than that. I think right now East Tennessee State certainly deserves to be ahead of Wofford. Everything they've done, and they've got the ultimate respect of Wofford right now. But I'm not sure anybody's really worried about that. The conference is so good, and the top half of the conference is really good. So I think it's just trying to win your home games and see where you are at the end and see what you can do in the tournament.
Well, let me throw that 66 RPI out to you there that ETSU has, because I guess I've followed Southern Conference basketball for a long time, and it's my dream to see two teams make the NCAA tournament out of the SoCon. Some may say that's a pipe dream, but, I can tell you that earlier this decade, there at one point were 13 conferences that got multiple bids. In the 90s, the A-Sun had multiple bids. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. And so when I see a 66 RPI, and I know that 68 teams make it, I start wondering, well, let's say that ETSU runs the table, but a Wofford would win the Southern Conference tournament. Could you see potentially something like that, a way to get two teams into the NCAAs this year?
That's kind of my dream to see that happen, but I really don't see that happening. I mean, even even in the days when Davidson was great, all the talk was they have to win the tournament.
Yeah.
I just, I'd like to see that, but strength of schedule is going to come into play, and right now, you still have to win your tournament.
I know that College of Charleston, out of the Southern Conference in '99, was an 8 seed, and I want to say they only lost 2 regular season games all year. They may have lost 3. When East Tennessee State in 1991 was finally ranked number 17 in the final AP poll, they got a number 10 seed in the NCAA tournament and lost in the first round to Iowa. So that shows you a little. It's tough, but as I said, there is also a little bit of precedence where you say, well, 17 in the RPI in terms of conference. 1 year, 13 teams made it. This sort of thing. So, hey, you mentioned.
I'd like to see that. Yeah, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But I would like to see that. I think teams like that deserve it. I think it would make the tournament more interesting too. And then bringing in a barely 500 team from a power conference.
I wholeheartedly agree. Jerry Richardson, his name is on the arena that you earlier praised. Is there any talk about that going away, or is that pretty much set in stone?
No, I think that's set in stone. I don't see that ever changing. I don't think his name coming off the building or the court for everything he's done to the college. And, this was a bigger, much bigger, turns out to be a much bigger scandal than we think. I think for everything he's done, I think he deserves to have his name still on the court. And right now, there's no talk of even thinking about something like that. I think maybe his days of making public appearances and maybe even gift giving, those might be done. He might be, going to sell the Panthers and kind of go into hiding a little bit and just retire on an island somewhere. But I think what's done is done, and I don't think there's any talk about, taking his name off of anything right now. And he's had a big impact on the college.
At last report, the Bo Hodges, who missed ETSU's last game, is still out with a knee injury. He's a Mr. All-Tennessee basketball. Really been a freshman sensation for the Bucks this year. But I know Cameron Jackson, big, a good post player for ETSU, for Wofford, missed the Terriers' big victory against VMI. He's averaging 12 points a game. What's the latest on Cameron Jackson? Is he going to play on Saturday?
I don't know if he's going to play. I think he might. He was not in practice yesterday, though. I was there yesterday, and he was not even dressed or on the court. I didn't see him at all. That'd be a big loss for Wofford. It's tough. I mean, without him, he's a great post player. He's one of those rare big guys who has the athletic skills, too, because he's leading the Southern Conference in steals and block shots from the center spot, which is just remarkable. That'd be something really tough for Wofford to overcome. I kind of get the feeling that he's not going to be out too long, but, nobody would really tell me anything yesterday, and he was not there. So, and it will be a week. But he did fall hard against Chattanooga a week last Saturday, and hit his head pretty hard, and he was being held out for concussion protocol.
Yes. Yeah.
So I really don't know. I mean, it's kind of up in the air, but that's a big key in the game. That's a big obstacle to overcome if he's not there.
Well, not being in practice is a reason why we have Todd Shanesy of the Spartanburg Herald-Journal on the show, when you get good reporting and scoops like that. Hey, one of the other things, though, is that if they did lose this post player, I'm thinking maybe that wouldn't hurt Wofford that much, because it seems to me that they are a good outside shooting team. In fact, they're the best three-point shooting team in the Southern Conference. I believe it's at 44% they're making their threes. And the leading scorer in the league is Fletcher McGee, who is averaging 23 points a game for the Terriers. And get this, I was very impressed with this. Only missed 2 free throws all year long. It's impressive and all that. How about Fletcher McGee? Tell me about his game. When I'm watching on ESPN3 at 7 o'clock on Saturday night, what am I going to see in Fletcher McGee?
Well, he's something else. I tell you what, he doesn't need much space to shoot. It doesn't matter how many guys are guarding him. He's one of those rare guys that can catch and release so quickly. He can hit turnaround threes. When he's on, he's on. And in big games, seems like he's more on than ever. He struggled against VMI earlier this week, Wednesday. He was 1 for 10 on threes, which is really kind of rare for him. But he's a rare talent. He's probably an NBA talent, to be honest with you.
Impressive. Okay.
Yeah. He's got scouts. Last three games, he's had 2 or 3 NBA scouts watching him. So he's been compared to J.J. Redick, which is a good comparison. So he's a big-time talent, I'm telling you.
Well, I'm impressed. NBA talent, we will definitely take the word there from Todd Shanesy, Spartanburg Herald Jr., certainly. And by the way, I should mention, you mentioned his 1 for 10 was McGee shooting on the outside against VMI, but ETSU, while Wofford is the best three-point shooting team in the Southern Conference, ETSU is the best three-point defending team in the conference at 27%. Yeah. Now, one idea here, Matt Pegram, I had a lot of hopes for him at the beginning of the year, 6'11", center for the Terriers, but he's only averaging 17 minutes a game. Why is his playing time decreased? Is it just the way the game is going?
Well, what happened was about 6 or 7 games into the season, they changed the lineup, and he's coming off the bench now. They started with a Twin Towers lineup with he and Cam Jackson. They switched that up, and Matt's coming off the bench now. Trevor Stump is kind of taking that spot. He's been great. Trevor Stump, his first couple of years, averaged 2 or 3 points a game, and he has come on incredibly well. He's averaging, I think, the last handful of games, like 15 points a game. He's in the top 15 in scoring now in the conference, and never made any impact in the first couple of years. So he's kind of taking over that spot. Matt is like a backup to Cam, which, if Cam can't go this week, Pegram's the guy for sure. He's a big, strong guy. Doesn't have quite the athletic ability that Cam does, but he's very important to this team.
Now, that's having Pegram in relief of Jackson is certainly a reason why Wofford is in second place right now, only a game back of ETSU in the conference. You mentioned Trevor Stump, the recently inserted point guard who's done wonders. And I believe he's only a freshman. Am I correct there?
That's Storm Murphy.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Storm Murphy. I'm sorry.
He's been starting from the beginning of the season. He's been, outstanding, especially from the freshmen. I mean, it's just amazing to see him go against, some of the bigger teams and guard Joel Berry from North Carolina, and he's had quite a trial by fire. But he's been a great player. Derek Brooks is the only senior on the team, and he was inserted in the lineup about the same time Trevor Stump was. And he's in there for defense and rebounding. Believe it or not, 6'3" guard, but he's a great rebounder. Had 12 rebounds a few games ago from that spot.
Todd Shanesy, I got to interrupt because I got 10 seconds left, so let me just ask you real quick, one word. Who's going to win?
Wofford.
There you go. We'll see you next week. Tri-City Sports Now.
Thanks, man.
No problem. I'm sorry you're interrupting there, but yeah, and you didn't know. I mean, you had no idea. So there, all right. So we got that. I think got most of the questions. That there was the one thing I saw was that Wofford wasn't all that competitive, or they were playing much more to the level